There are a lot of different types of toxic people out there, but there is one type of toxic person that can have that much more power over you, that much more ability to sap you of your energy, of any sense of security and safety. And that's having a toxic sibling. What I want to do is I want to tell you a little bit about the story that I had with my toxic older brother, the impact that he made on me in my earlier years in life, but what I also learned and figured out so I could use those old dynamics and that old emotional baggage to actually use it as a source of power for me. So if you're dealing with a toxic brother or sister, someone who takes your energy away, or you have things from your childhood that you're still holding on to as an adult, memories that you just can't seem to shake, where every time that you think about that person, it just sets you off, it just triggers you, and it can ruin the rest of your day. Let's hang out together for the next few minutes. So let me tell you a little bit about my older brother. Being the youngest of 4, I'm the baby of the family, and my older brother, who was very toxic from my earliest memories, is 10 years older than me. And my earliest memories of him were throwing temper tantrums in front of my parents, hitting the walls, destroying my older sister's toys. And as I got older, I remember being 5 years old and getting in a car accident with him, and he only cared about the damage to the car and not whether his siblings were okay. I can remember this older brother of mine being so violent and having so much anger that he would actually play a game with me where he would hit my hands until they bled, and he thought it was fun. I remember this older brother who would do things silently and secretly without me knowing until years later. Like me having this beautiful tabby cat called Morris that I loved when I was a little girl. And one day this cat goes missing. And I was really distraught, asking my parents, "Where's my cat?" And they told me for the longest time for years that my cat just ran away. And I believed them for a long time. Until when I was a teenager, I was told, and they confessed to me, not my older brother, that he killed my cat. And he killed my cat for fun, because he wanted to take his anger out on something. So whether he took his anger out on a wall, an innocent animal, or an innocent little sister, he constantly needed a conduit for his anger. That dynamic continued in different ways over the next several years to several decades, up until only about a couple of years ago, where he would treat me unkindly, tease me silently when other people weren't watching, try to berate me, belittle me, discount any credibility that I brought to the table, any knowledge or wisdom when it would come to helping one of our parents. And for the longest time, I would allow that dynamic, his very presence, to erode me to my core. So much to the point that any time in our sibling thread on our phones, where different siblings would send messages on what's going on in their life, anytime I would see his name show up on the phone, it would send me into a tailspin of anxiety and honestly rage, because I had all of this buried emotional baggage that I just was holding on to and tolerating, because I never voiced myself to him. I never voiced my own anger and frustration to him. And then I realized that still I was allowing this person to live rent-free in my head, to still keep taking my power away. And I realized that he had been doing that for decades, oftentimes without him even knowing it. So what did I do? 1, I had to realize that the emotional baggage that I was carrying, the anger that I was carrying, was mine and mine alone. The last thing that I could expect from someone like this was to expect any kind of remorse or apology or anything where he was going to make things right. Because why spend the energy to expect that from someone who has taken so much of you away anytime that they enter your mind or a memory of them shows up? Toxic people and toxic siblings who are supposed to make you feel very safe and secure in an idyllic world, when they take your energy away, you have to at some point take a stand in your life and realize that the baggage that you're carrying is not something that forgiveness is going to solve, because you actually have to realize it's more about the power within yourself. And what do you actually need to do to take a stand within yourself to no longer allow that in your life, including from that person? Now, I'm not saying forgiveness is a practice that you shouldn't use, but I want to approach this from a different angle of personal power. And what used to be a version of myself that constantly felt like the 5-year-old every time I would see his name show up on my phone has now turned into a woman in her middle stage of life who realizes there are so many things that I can put up as barriers where I don't have to allow him in my life anymore. But more important than that, how can I actually allow all of those things that I dealt with to fuel a power within me that I've never felt before? So what used to be toxic memories of him being literally abusive, physically and emotionally, actually turned into me realizing what I will no longer tolerate in my life. I will no longer tolerate people who are toxic. And what does that mean for me? I will no longer tolerate people in my life who do not give me the time of day, who don't respect me as a human, who don't respect me and bring kindness and compassion and empathy to a relationship. People who don't acknowledge my life, people who don't respect my life or want to hear and learn more about me. I don't allow people who belittle me. I don't allow people who have tempers. I don't allow people who have any level of lack of emotional control that they're willing to take it out on other people or other innocent creatures. This one person who used to live rent-free in my head for such a long time allowed me to realize that I actually have the personal power to choose whether I want to allow him in my life anymore or not, which I no longer do. I'm not in the sibling thread. He's not on my phone. I've been very clear with my other siblings that I no longer want to communicate with them unless there's an issue with one of our parents that we need to talk about together. But two, most importantly, what I've realized is, what do I actually want to allow in? Sometimes a toxic person is in your life not only so you can set your own boundaries, but also so you can create your own sense of safety and your own sense of what type of magnet do you want to be, of who you want to bring into your life. But even deeper down, what I would say someone like a toxic sibling can teach you is that you can actually realize you don't need anyone to give you a sense of safety. And in fact, you shouldn't actually rely on anyone to give you a sense of safety. You need to rely on yourself for a sense of safety, for a sense of security, for a sense of power, so that when someone tries to do something to you to take your own power away, you know how to take a stand to them. And whether that's brushing them off, not acknowledging them, moving on with your life, not giving them a thought, filling the void within your own mind and life with people who actually nourish your mind and soul, there's a lot of ways that you can nourish your power. So what I want to ask you is this: what does a toxic sibling relationship in your life look like? Is it something that's happening present day, on a day-to-day basis, that's genuinely happening as new memories? Or is it happening as a trigger? Meaning, are you dealing with something that just their very presence in your life is triggering old unresolved family issues with them? Old memories that make you feel like a younger, powerless version of yourself? Which of the two is it? Because that oftentimes determines what you actually want to do to help mitigate the issues and the damage that it's creating on your own psyche, your own sense of self. Because if it's something present day, boundaries are going to need to come in. If it's something, however, that's more from your past, and that person is purely a trigger of you reliving unpleasant times in your life, that's where we need to look deeper into that deeper cause. How is that person taking your power away? How is that person triggering insecurities that you've been carrying with you for years to decades? And how is that impacting your life to no longer have a sense of power and to allow that person to have so much power over you? So many of the issues that we deal with today with people, with ourselves, with what we see in the mirror, oftentimes stems from things that are unresolved from earlier on in life. And we have to get to the root cause that goes back to a person, a memory, a moment, and the imprint that made on you and your own beliefs and what power is. I know for me that I had to take a stand and realize that I'm no longer going to allow this one person to erode me anymore and make me feel like that younger version of myself that's powerless. Instead, I can actually use that past baggage and turn that past baggage into wisdom and realize this is what I can do now moving forward. And whenever that person and I interact moving in forward in the future, this is how I'm going to be, this is how I'm going to show up, and how I'm going to do it with alignment in myself, no matter who they are or how they show up. Let me know what you've been dealing with. How has this been taking away and impacting your personal power? Let me know in the comments. And what light bulb is this turning on for you, making you realize it's actually not about that one person. It's actually about what can you do for yourself to take a stand. You always have an opportunity to choose how people impact your life, whether that's from a sense of safety and security or robbing you of your power. You always have that choice, whether that's someone that lives in the present moment or someone that you've carried with you from your past. You have an opportunity to use that toxicity as a source of good. Thanks for being here with me. And I trust that this is helping you grow in your own journey. I'm Jenna Hanna, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for joining me today. If this video resonated with you, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you can get my latest episodes on how to build a powerful new beginning in your life. This is a place where we have honest conversations. We look to the root cause of what's really holding you back, and also to help show you what's really possible for you. What's that version of you that's been screaming to break free? I'm Jenna Hanna. Thanks for being on the journey with me, and let's see what kind of magic we can create together.